Right, this should be far
这个
enough.
距离应该足够了。
Let's contact
我
Kiana.
们试着联络一下 Kiana 吧。
We don't need to
不
go
用再
any
继续拉
further.
开距离了吗？
You have to be
实验还是
cautious
应该
about
谨慎一些。
experiments. After all,
毕竟谁
who
也不知
knows
道
what
会
will
发生。
happen? What is it?
怎么了？
Why isn't Kiana's
Kiana 的
genius
科研公司
working?
为什么没有工作？
Looks like there's a
看
mishap.
来好像出现了一些不幸的意外。
Is that Dr. Schrodinger?
薛定谔博士。
Bingo. But if you can hear my voice, then the space
只要
you're
我的
in
声
is
音出现，
likely no longer
似乎也意味
stable.
着你们身处的空间又回到了不稳定状态。
So, that's why we can't
所以
receive Kiana's
这就是我
signal?
们现在收不到 Kiana 信号的原因。
Basically, yes.
简单来说，的确如此。
I was studying this not long ago.
之前
Want
的
to
这
hear
段
what I
时间，
found?
我做了一些调查，想听听结果。
Of course.
当
But
然
we're in a hurry to check on Kiana and the
对现
others.
在的我们来说，确认 Kiana 他们的情况，也的确是更重要的
Haha,
事。
just as anxious as you were when
你
you
还
were a
真是和小
child.
时候一样心急
Don't
呢。
worry, your
没事，
concerns and my
你
finding
关
come
心的
from
这
the
件
same
事
source.
和我想说的调查结果，他们正巧同源。
Does this mean the very existence of stigma awakened will serve to expand and be a cornerstone of Project Stigma? I see. From how you performed afterwards, I needn't only
从那之后
tell
你们的
you
表
the
现来
bad
说，
news
我
at the
当时的确
time.
没有必要只把负面信息告诉你一个人。
What exactly are you guys talking
我们
about?
到底在说什么呀？
Remember when we discussed that bubble universe ruled by the moon has nothing to do
与
with
地球毫
Earth?
无关系这件事吗？
In fact, planets can dominate space only because, astronomically
其
speaking,
实
they are the
星球可以
center of
支配空间
gravity.
也不过因为从天文学上讲，它们是引力的中心罢了。
For the universe, planets may not be different from the pegs on the walls, pinning imaginary endings on the picture that is a
印在整个
galaxy.
星河的画卷上。
And when we zoom in on this picture, we can see several holes near Earth.
画卷上却出现了若干个洞
Holes? Are you referring to imaginary
这个比喻是指
singularities?
虚数起点吗？
Yes, just as a gravitational
就像引
singularity
力
forms a
起点
black
在
hole,
现实中
an
形成了黑洞，
imaginary singularity
虚数
tears
起点
apart the
也
surface
会
of
撕裂现实的
reality.
表象，将世界的本质赤裸地暴露出来。
In contrast,
而与此
your
相反，
stigmata
你们所谓的圣
awakened
痕
are
之
doing
旋
the
转反
opposite,
其道而行，
which is attaching
在那些
patches
业已
of
撕裂的现
phenomena
实上
to the
点
torn
缀出某类
reality.
现象的补丁。
Phenomena?
现象
Does it have anything to do with the island Nagamitsu
有什么关
envisioned?
系吗？
The term
这个说法确实
phenomena
有
may
些
be
过
too
度省略。
obscure. You can understand
具体来说，
phenomena as the
你们可
connection
以把
between
我所说的现
essences.
象理解为本质之间的关系。
Hershers push something simple to its extreme, whereas stigma awakens string together different things to create something new.
而圣痕觉醒者的天性，则是把不同的事串联起来，发展出原本不存在于世界上的新东西。
Life is a
人
bridge.
生是一座
Its
桥梁，
greatness does not come
它
from
的
its
伟大绝不来
purpose.
自它的目的。
It
它
connects
连接
the
起正午、
noon, the
黄昏
dusk,
和黎
and the
明，
dawn. A spontaneous meaning
在 这
expands
样的
in
过
this
程中不断
process.
拓展，
Something
就
like
像这段
that?
话指出的那样，是吗？
It can be understood this way in terms of
从
free
自由意
will
识的角度来说，
and not just
的
stigma
确能这样理
awakened.
解。而且，不仅仅是圣痕觉醒者，
Based on those two
是我只从那
sentences,
两句话
I
发
hope
散，
that everyone can
我
be
会希
their
望
own
每个人
creators,
都是自己人
solvers,
生的
and
创作者、
saviors.
解谜者和拯救者。
At the very
至
least,
少
as you can see,
真
those
理进来
Hershers that have humanity
那些
have
拥有
more or
人性的
less
译者，
done that.
他们多多少少都已经做到了这一点。
But we're not here to analyze the
不过话说
meaning
回
of
来，
life. The
我们
point
的
I
当务
was
之急
trying to
并不是
make
分析人
is
生的意义。我之前想表达的意思是，
those bearing stigma are like spiders born to spin webs. Project Stigma in turn waves a web so large that it can even bind and absorb
它甚
finality.
至能够束缚并吸收中焰的力量。
But this web
只
is
是这
still
张
being
网在
woven.
此刻还处于新生
It
的状态。
requires the stigma awakened and the dreams of others to wave phenomena, irrespective of anyone's will.
这与大家的主观意志无关。
And this is, as I had told
就
Bianca,
像我之前
bad
和比安卡
news.
说过的那样，它是个十足的坏消息。
But even then, she
不
had
过，
told me
当
that
时
she was
比较
confident
地
that
跟我说，
she and
她
her
相信即
friends
使如
could
此，
deal with the
他和
crisis.
他的伙伴们也能找到正确的方式来应对危机。
As they say,
俗话说得
where
好，
there's a will, there's a
天无绝人之
way.
路嘛。
Well, Dr.
你对
Campus,
罗盘博
looks
士
like you found
看起来也
something,
已经
yeah?
发现了什么？
Dr. Campus?
罗盘博士。
Never mind, you can have fun with your nicknames.
外号这种东西，你喜欢就好。
At any rate, Project Sigma is like weaving a web, and Herschers are the sparks that can burn this web before it's done.
它们天然就是一些会烧坏这张未成之网的火星。
So World Serpent's first step in Project Sigma was to target and seal all Herschel cores.
封印了所有的绿者核心。
Yes, and not only that.
而另一方面，
If a Herschel can split their power into several parts, they can use this power to weave another web in reverse,
也能从反
like
向分支
matters
出另一
forming
张
a solar system
就
under
像物质在
gravity.
引力作用下会形成太阳系一样。
So then, the
总之，
Sigma Awakened and Herschel are like two poles of a magnet?
我们就像磁铁的两极。
It's not the most accurate analogy, but it's helpful.
不过倒也方便你
For
理解。
example, you think Kiana's genius isn't working, but in reality, time has barely passed for them after you left.
而事实却是，当你们离开他们之后，他们的时间还几乎没有流逝。
What? While time is frozen for them, it's flying by for us.
是我们的时间在飞速流逝吗？
Right, but this makes the previous analogy a lot more complicated. In the space related to Project Sigma, your distance in imaginary space increases exponentially after leaving the three Herschels. As a result, you can't receive their genius signal because of spatial-temporal desynchronization. So if we follow the initial coordinates back, you'll likely find that they only just left.
他们只是刚刚离开了原地，并未走出很远的距离。
Their Herschel authorities can affect the imaginary space more than the awakened stigma in you two. This ensures you can close the distance when approaching each
保证了
other.
你们在相向而行的时候能够拉近距离。
Well, that's good.
这真是一个好消
We
息。
can still return to where we were and tell them what we found.
把这些分析结果告诉他们。
What then? According to Dr. Campus, we still have to split up,
我
right?
和他们还是必须分头行动。
One side adds, one side subtracts, and the end result
最终
is
的
that
结果
looping
可不就是
maze.
构成了刚才那种循环往复的迷宫吗？
You're right,
确实，
but that gives us an opportunity.
这倒也给我们提供了一个机会。
Yes, this is the one. Although there are some suspicious markings on it, but they won't affect the purpose of the solium. Do you need anything else? We met a great serpent at the target location just now. Is he completing a task? I haven't heard of any new tasks, but I guess he might have rushed over because he was worried about Sora-chan. That great serpent? He told me that he covertly follows the children around because he's worried about their safety. But he has to watch from the sidelines so that the children will have opportunities to grow. He'll only help out when things really get dangerous. That fellow complained about lots of other stuff, but I was working then and can only remember this much. How surprising! Is it surprising? Although we are both artificial life forms, but most of the time, I feel like the great serpents are more human-like than I am. Maybe it's because there's lots of them, or maybe because they can all lead different lifestyles and thus have more possibilities. Wait, infinite possibilities. Is this it? Claim? Thank you, Sila. Thanks to you, I feel like I've moved forward a step in life. But I didn't do anything. But from my conversation with you, I've developed a new perspective. Perhaps this is your talent. Although I can't quite understand, but I'm glad that I was of help.
收到。
Let's start.
实验开始。
Go ahead.
好，来试试吧。
We can see
已经
Durandal
看
and
不
Li
见幽兰亮
Sushang.
和李素商的身影了。
They're so
走得好快
fast.
啊
What's
怎么
wrong,
了
May?
牙医，
Something's off. We haven't
我
gone
明
very
明没有走
far,
出多
but
远，
they...
可他们为什么？
They're
他们
coming
好像又
back.
回来了，
They're...
还真
What's
是，
this about?
怎么回事啊？
Hi, we got
我
things
们速战
done
速
and
决，
came
又
back.
回来了。
I'm telling you, what we're
我
gonna
们接下
do
来
will
打算
make
做
your
的事，
jaws
绝对
drop.
能吓你们一跳哦。我们打
We
算
plan to
凭
run
自己的
back
双
to
腿
Earth
跑
on
回
our
地球。
legs. In short, we do plan to
只说
return to
结论的
Earth
话，
from the moon
我
on
们确实
foot.
打算徒步从月球返回地球。
Huh?
啊，
I know
我
this
知道
sounds
这种说法听上去
ridiculous,
很荒谬，
but...
但
Durandal relayed Schrödinger's thought on the situation to Kiana and the others.
具体的理论分
That's
析
the
就是以
theory.
上这样。
If we are
如果我
far
们分开
enough
足够远
apart,
的距离，
then you who are
那么身为
Herschers
绿者
should
的
be
你
able
们
to
就
easily
可以
leave
很
this
轻松地离
maze,
开这个迷
return
宫，
to the real
返回
moon,
月球的现
and
实，
reach the bottom of the
到达
pit.
深坑底部。
But
可
then
这样一
you...
来，你们
The
月球和
distance
地球之
between the
间的
moon
直
and
线距
Earth
离
is
就有38万公里。
380k
即使
kilometers.
你们的身体素
Even
质
if you're
比绿者
physically
还要强
stronger than
悍，
Herschers,
布罗尼无
Brownia
法理
can't
解你们
fathom
打算
how
做出什
you'll
么能
make
让
the
跨越这个
journey.
天文数字的旅程。
With the help of Honkai energy, of course. We plan on borrowing the
我
power
们
of
打算借
Project
助射痕计
Sigma.
划本身的力量。
The power of Project Sigma has the opposite effect
射
of
痕计划的力量在
Herschers
某些角度
on
上
Herschers
对
and
绿
the
者
Sigma
和圣痕觉醒
awakened.
者有着相反的作用。
But since we're passively helping
既然我们
Project
此时
Sigma
正在
weave
被
a
动协助
web,
射痕计
then
划
this
生活，
maze must be a hub
那么这
from
个迷
which
宫本
Project
身，
Sigma
它
controls
就必然
Earth.
隶属于射痕计划用来操控地球的某种中枢。
Huh? Why?
为什么？
Remember how I mentioned earlier that the space near the moon was too
使得
stable
虚
for
拟介子
Sumeru
几
to
乎无法
work?
运作吗？
In
在那
that
种情
case,
况下，
a Stigma
圣痕觉醒
awakened
者
can expand
不
the
可能像我们
imaginary
现在这
space
样自发地拓展周围的叙
spontaneously
述空间。
like we're doing.
换一个
So
视角
World
来
Serpent
看，
is quite
这
cautious
意味着
about
世界上
operating
对
imaginary
虚数空间的
space.
操作其实
The
是过于
area
谨
we're
慎。
in can be
我们
a
现在身
derived
处的领
space
域
without
不
practical
可能是
use.
毫无实际作用的衍生空间。当
This
然，
is, of course,
这些
all
都只是一些直
conjecture.
觉性的
The
猜
real
测。
proof is this.
真正的证据其实是这个，
These are the
这些是我们刚
projections
刚
of
利用虚拟介
information
子
captured
捕
by
捉到的信息
Sumeru.
投影，
They clearly all
很明
belong
显
to our Earth.
它们都同属于我们的地球。
Among them are
其中有
stations,
我们熟悉的车站、
roads,
熟悉的街道、
plazas,
熟悉的广场、
parks,
熟悉的公园，
shores, and other
熟悉的海
places we
岸
know.
等等等等。
Not far from us, such jumbled information is rushing toward the moon and is somehow processed and transferred back to Earth. So, as Sigma awakened, we can hitch a ride on Project Sigma to return to Earth and find people that can help. It's hitchhiking and paddling upstream at the same time. I calculated it takes about 48 hours of flight using Gaussman's thruster to use the imaginary area near Earth. Then we can use Sumeru to float to the real space, learn the status of the real Earth, and plan from there. Since Dr. Schrödinger noticed Schicksal HQ wasn't directly affected by Project Sigma, then Nagamitsu has probably carried out the first stage of island operation. This island operation is a set of experimental technologies Schicksal gathered from data they collated over the past 6 months. Simply put, by using techniques from the Babel universe, it can protect certain locations from any imaginary attack, including Herschel finality and Project Sigma. Since it's unable to affect the entire world, Durandal didn't talk about it? But what if Kevin finds out about your movement and intervenes? Then we would be sealed like you were, but World Serpent won't tamper with this path much with Project Sigma already in progress. What's more likely is that even if they do find out, they won't be able to intervene precisely. They risk too much in doing it. I see. In that case, it's definitely worth a try. At any rate, being unable to change the situation is the worst thing. But as Herschers, we'll need to figure out our own way of fighting. Speaking of which, I know something that might be of help. According to Dr. Schrödinger, in the moon pit that we were supposed to descend into, there's an extinguished, immovable point. Is it the wreckage of finality? It may be connected, but this point seemed to have been mechanically modified twice. Even Dr. Schrödinger finds its states fascinating. As a wreckage, it resembled both finality and a wormhole partially, which is to say, long ago, someone may have constructed an imaginary path between Earth and the Moon using the power of finality. If we can use it right, it might become a weakness of Project Sigma. Nonetheless, we must be careful about stimulating the power of finality. Compared to World Serpent and Schicksal's plan, what we need to do is to find a positive destiny that belongs to us all. A positive destiny. That everyone live their life to the fullest by following their heart, right? Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, May. That was the message Alicia left behind. He was Kevin's comrade 50,000 years ago and sacrificed before finality descended. I understand. Perhaps World Serpent, no Kevin, he wants us to go beyond Project Sigma more than anyone, right? At any rate, we can't just stand by and watch the world we love made into a plaything of those who want to regulate it. Project Sigma got us good, but if we regroup, I mean everyone's at Saint Freya, Anti-Entropy, Schicksal. I know we can put together a plan that goes beyond finality. We can do it if we could return to Earth. If Dr. Tesla and Nagamitsu were here, they'd agree. I see. They're probably thinking about... Alright, Durandal, let the scientists do their job. Our job, on the other hand, is to find a way back to Earth, right? You're right. We shouldn't waste more time here. So, according to Dr. Schrödinger, once you're a distance away, Kiana can use the authority of the void to return us to the real moon, right? Right. As for Fu Hua, she needs your help. Kevin will likely be your opponent. He's not invincible, but perhaps too early to battle it out. Right. Our main goal is to meet back on Earth, and I've always believed that Kevin isn't an enemy, but a competitor. If this is a game, maybe the first half isn't even halfway through. Yes, and winning a battle isn't important. We need to win this war. So, this is goodbye, everyone. Good luck. And so the two teams said their goodbyes and went their separate ways. And not long after, the two S-rank Valkyries from Jigsaw received another message from Dr. Schrödinger. Only this time, there was an uninvited guest in their way. Hi, nice to... Yeah, nice to meet you. S-rank Valkyries from Jigsaw. Please take care of it, Lambda. Who is she? AI Hyperion Lambda, the mysterious person Scylla met. You can trust her. Isn't that the name of the AI on Overseer Teresa's flagship? The unsinkable ship of eternal reincarnation, it is indeed a source of my birth. But she and I are separate beings. After all, I have a lambda in my name. And if I understand correctly, you are planning to use the energy hub of Project Sigma to attempt retrograding toward Earth, right? That's right. If you're looking for a lift back to Earth, be my guest. Gospel will work so long as it has Honkai energy. By using Project Sigma's own conduit, it won't be an issue to bring another traveler. Thank you. But as the term eternal reincarnation points out, I live in pseudo-time crystal. Compared to you all, I enjoy greater freedom in Project Sigma. In that case, you've chosen a good time to show up here. Was it to tell us something? Exactly. You should have already learned from Scylla that finality has already occurred several times throughout history. Additionally, some new information should help you prepare for Kiana and the others' return to Earth. You sure do know a lot. Did Dr. Campus tell you all this? No, from our point of view, she's observed the future where you reunite on Earth. That's why she was reluctant to tell Scylla the way back. The time wasn't right. I apologize. Wait, observe the future? For Project Sigma, everything happens in the future. This sounds a bit opaque. Technically speaking, my existence is similar to Sumeru in Project Valuka, the pseudo-time crystal. In layman's terms, a circular time. Of course, circular time doesn't exist on our planet, which is why the crystal is only pseudo. Threads of destiny and the cycle of finality are both unnatural mechanics. So is Project Sigma, which was created to counter them. When the authority of finality is taken away, Project Sigma will inherit its temporal attributes. Only during the construction of Project Sigma will Earth time be nonlinear. I'm sorry, but I'm struggling to follow. You say you're similar to Sumeru? In what way? Meaning that as part of a pseudo-time crystal, I can see all possible futures of Project Sigma. Humans rely on time to think, and observation consumes energy. Therefore, I'm not omniscient. Furthermore,
所以
for
我觉
Project
非全知
Stigma,
全能的所
time
在
is nonlinear.
更何况圣痕计划的时间本就是非线性的状态。
And so, because everything happens in the future, I'm
正
able
因
to
为一
do
切
what
都
I
发生在
can
未
to
来，
help you.
我才可以做些力所能及的事情来帮助你们。
The process is like dreaming.
对，就像是在做梦。
Dreaming?
做梦。
When night
当
puts
黑
us to
夜让我
sleep,
们进入梦
we
乡的
become
时候，
actors playing
我
roles
们
on
都
the
变成了
stage.
演员，在各不相同的舞台上扮演着我们的角色。
What about the day? That is when we
白
learn our
天，
roles in the
我们
real
在真实
world.
的世界里学习我们的角色。
And you
而你，
you didn't come to the
你
theater
来
to
剧
play a
院
role,
不是为了
but
扮
to
演一
see
个
our
角色，
show.
是来观看我们的演出。
For Finality and
对于
Project Sigma,
对于圣
the
痕
world
计
is a
划，
stage.
世界都
Only
是
the
一个舞
former
台，
cares about ending the story,
只
while
是
the
前
latter
者在意
cares
故
about
事的结
continuing
局，
the
而
story.
后者在意故事的连续。
The placement of
所谓
human
人的
isn't
位
as
置，
important.
对他们而言并不重
For
要。
humans, the
对
end
人来
result
说，
is quite
这
painful,
当然是一
but
个
not
痛苦的结
because
果。
they're being seen as
但这种事的
insignificant.
起因，
It's quite the
却并不是因
opposite.
为对方不在意人，
For
恰恰
humans,
相反，正
it's
因为一种
because
原初的力
the
量
original
想给予
force
我们
wishes
拥
to
抱，
embrace us
想用人类之外的概
and
念
love
去爱
every
每
one
一
of
个人。
us.
曾
That's
经的
why
誓
the
言
origin betrayed
才会不敢重
finality,
演，
and Project Sigma is the
而
worst
圣痕
plan.
计划也才会是一种无可奈何的最差计划。
So Project
你的意思
Sigma
是说，
uses human
圣痕
stories
计
to
划
set the
至少
stage
在
for
用人的
human
故事
civilization,
来为人类的文明
even
提
if
供舞台
it
吗？
wipes out
尽管它
humanity.
消灭了人，
That's
非
spot
常
on.
到位的一个理解。
What about
那
you?
么，你呢？
You don't exist as humans
和
do,
人类
do
的存
you?
在方式并不相同吧？
Yes, but
不过，
I do hope each
我
of
希
you
望你
can
们每
have
个
your
人
own story.
都能拥有属于自己的故事呀。
The machine called AI Hyperion Lambda said she could see the future in her dreams. She said she dreamed of the fate of origin and finality, and the end of the signet of deliverance. But in spite of that, she said, every second of real history still brought her new surprises. After all, even if the moon only ever faced the earth with one side, each night and in each person's heart, it would be different.